What if you could begin each day not in a rush, but in stillness? What if, instead of checking your phone, your first act was a conversation with your own soul? The Stoics knew something we've forgotten in today's noisy world. Mornings are sacred. They're not just the start of the day, they're the foundation of who we become. Seneca once wrote, "Each day is a life in miniature." And if that's true, then each morning is a birth, a chance to begin again, with purpose. This video isn't about hacks or trends. This is about building a morning so powerful, it reshapes the rest of your life. Because how you start determines everything. So sit back, breathe deep, and allow yourself to step into the ancient rhythm of a Stoic morning. You're not just learning a routine. You're reclaiming your mind. The first light of dawn isn't just nature's alarm clock, it's a quiet invitation to mastery. When Marcus Aurelius opened his eyes each morning, he didn't scroll or sprint. He reminded himself of his duty. He said, "I arise to do the work of a human being." And that, right there, is the first shift, to treat the day not as a burden, but as an opportunity to practice virtue. Most people stumble into the day reactive, controlled by notifications, headlines, and urgency. The Stoic does the opposite. The Stoic awakens with intent. Imagine waking and sitting in silence, not because it's fashionable, but because it trains you to be still even in chaos. In that silence, you begin to observe your thoughts before they become actions. You become the architect of your morning, not its victim. The ritual continues, not as a performance, but as a discipline. Cold water hits your skin not just to wake your body, but to remind you, you are not fragile. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your teacher. As you drink water, you're not just quenching thirst, you're honoring the body that carries your will. As you walk outside, you're not just getting sunlight, you're communing with the nature that made you. There's no need for noise. The Stoic mind is sharpened in silence, forged in repetition. So you write, not to impress others, but to confront your own thinking. A journal, to a Stoic, is not a diary. It's a forge. Each sentence hammered in clarity. Each word a weapon against self-deception. And then, reflection. You ask yourself, not, "What do I want today?" but, "What is required of me today?" You rehearse adversity. You visualize interruption, loss, betrayal, not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. This is premeditatio malorum, the anticipation of misfortune. Because if you can endure it in your mind, you won't be broken by it in the world. A Stoic does not chase comfort. A Stoic builds strength. And so, you move, not for aesthetics or approval, but because movement is medicine. You breathe, not because it's trendy, but because it reminds you that peace is always one breath away. You dress, not in luxury, but in simplicity, because elegance lies in restraint. And as you step out the door, you remind yourself, I control nothing outside myself, but within. I govern an empire. That is the core of the Stoic morning, not perfection, but sovereignty. Not reaction, but response. You will be tested. You will face fools, anger, temptation, and delay. But you've already met them in your mind. So when others rush, you walk steady. When others complain, you observe. When others panic, you endure. Because your morning has already carved a fortress inside you. And now, the world may come as it will. Because you have already begun like a Stoic. And as your day unfolds, challenges do not catch you off guard. They confirm your training. The rude driver? The delayed meeting? The harsh words from someone lost in their own suffering? You see them not as obstacles but as exercises, rep after rep in the gym of your character. Because this morning, before the world even opened its eyes, you had already rehearsed this. You had already accepted that not everything will go your way. And because of that, you are free, not controlled by outcomes, but rooted in principle. Lunch may be late. Praise may not come. Plans may fall apart. But none of that disturbs the inner citadel you built at sunrise. While others collapse under the weight of unpredictability, you adapt. You are like water, soft, yet unbreakable. Epictetus reminded us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond. And that's exactly what your morning trained you to do, not react, but respond. Calmly, deliberately, like a Stoic. Even as stress rises, you return to the breath, the same breath you practiced in the quiet moments of morning. Even when chaos strikes, you return to your journal, the words you wrote earlier now guiding you like a lighthouse in stormy waters. And slowly, you notice something profound. You are no longer at war with the world. You are no longer ruled by mood, or time, or other people's urgency. You are governed by your values. As the afternoon sun begins to dip, you do not look back with regret, because every hour was intentional. Every act was chosen. Every moment was aligned with virtue. The Stoic doesn't measure the day by how easy it was, or how much was accomplished. No, he measures it by how well he lived, by how honestly he spoke, by how firmly he stood, by how gracefully he endured. And as the day moves toward dusk, you begin to transition again, back into reflection, back into the quiet, back into the self. But the story does not end here either, because the next morning, the ritual begins again. And with each sunrise, you are reborn, not into a new person, but into a more refined version of the self you already are. One day stronger, one step closer to wisdom. The Stoic morning isn't about making life easier. It's about making you stronger, so that no matter what life brings, you are ready. Not because the world will be kind, but because your mind is disciplined. And when your feet touch the floor at dawn tomorrow, remember, you're not just waking up. You are arming your soul for whatever battle may come. ChatGPT said. And as the last rays of sunlight fade into twilight, your presence remains steady, untouched by the noise of the day. The world may be winding down in distraction, screens flashing, minds racing, dopamine flooding. But you return inward. The Stoic understands that the evening is not a conclusion, it is a mirror, a space to examine the soul, to weigh the day, to ask, where did I live in alignment with virtue? And where did I fall short? Not in shame, but in awareness. Not in judgment, but in truth. Seneca wrote, when the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. And so you do the same. With your journal open once more, the same page that began with intention now closes with accountability. You write not to record events, but to evaluate your soul's posture through them. Were you patient with the person who interrupted you? Were you generous in silence? Did you act from reason or from impulse? This habit, small, quiet, uncelebrated, becomes the most powerful discipline of all. Because only the examined life sharpens its own blade. Only the one who reflects can evolve. Outside, the world sinks into sleep. But your mind, though at rest, is still alive, clear, clean, untangled. Because you lived today as a philosopher, not a drifter. As a master, not a servant to your urges. There's peace in this kind of life, not the peace of comfort, but the peace of integrity. A day lived in alignment. A day fought honorably. A day earned. And now, as you lay your head down, there is no lingering tension, no war inside you, because you did what needed to be done. You said no to what didn't serve you. You showed up, you endured, and you learned. You are not perfect, but you are improving, and that is the path. The Stoic doesn't chase tomorrow. He prepares for it. And so your final act before sleep is not anxiety or distraction, but gratitude. For the chance to live another day. For the trials that shaped you. For the strength you discovered through hardship. And perhaps, before your eyes close, you whisper quietly to yourself, I was not given this day. I earned it. And tomorrow, you will rise again, not by accident, but by will. You will rise not to chase, but to lead. Not to escape, but to engage. Not to waste time, but to use it as if it were gold. The Stoic morning begins with silence. And the Stoic night ends in serenity. And in between, a life fully lived, in principle, in clarity, in unshakable resolve. And so the cycle continues, not as routine, but as ritual. Not as obligation, but as devotion. The next morning greets you not with chaos, but with quiet strength. You rise, not to conquer the world, but to conquer yourself. You no longer question whether to follow the habits. They have become part of you, etched into your identity like grooves in stone. There is no resistance, only rhythm. No friction, only flow. Your journal awaits you, like an old friend. The blank page is no longer intimidating. It's an invitation. You don't write to impress. You write to see. Each sentence reveals where you are and where you aim to be. Your mind no longer darts from one worry to another. It knows where to go. It knows what to do. Your morning silence isn't empty. It's full. Full of awareness. Full of presence. Full of your own becoming. This discipline, once difficult, is now a refuge. A weapon. A compass. You begin to notice something others do not. The world moves fast, but the wise move slow. People chase more, but the Stoic subtracts. While the world seeks ease, you train for hardship. The habits deepen. The clarity sharpens. Each day you rise, not asking what the world owes you, but what you owe the world. Each decision becomes a vote for the kind of man or woman you are choosing to be. Each small victory builds momentum. Each moment of restraint builds muscle. The changes begin internally, but ripple outward. Your presence becomes grounded. Others notice your calm, even if they can't name it. You listen before speaking. You act before reacting. You don't seek validation, because your purpose no longer depends on being seen, it's rooted in being real. And now, when the unexpected comes, as it always does, you don't flinch. You remember the lessons of dawn. You remember that peace is not passive, it is practiced. That virtue is not a costume, it is a choice. That control is not power over others, it's power over yourself. You greet adversity like an old adversary, with respect, with resolve. Because the Stoic knows, the obstacle is the way. Pain sharpens the edge. Delay teaches patience. Loss awakens gratitude. Each day you wake, you are no longer just living, you are forging. The forge is cold water. It is silence. It is writing. It is reflection. And in that forge, your character is shaped. You are no longer the person who lived at the mercy of moods. No longer a slave to distraction. You are becoming the rare thing in a noisy world, a still soul. Not loud, not showy, but strong. Still. Clear. The sun rises. And again you begin. And yes, the journey now begins to stretch beyond the individual day. The morning rituals, once just moments of structure, now become your lifeline through the deeper seasons of life. You carry them into times of conflict, into grief, into success, and through them all, they hold you upright. Because there will be seasons when the ground shakes. When the people you love disappoint you. When you are betrayed, when you lose something you thought you could never live without. And while the world around you crumbles in complaint and collapse, you reach for the familiar, the morning stillness, the breath, the journal, the cold water. not because it fixes anything, but because it reminds you. You are not powerless. You are not lost. You are still here. And with that, you begin again. Even in sorrow, you show up. You sit in silence and let grief speak its language. You write, not to solve pain, but to make meaning out of it. You move, not to forget, but to feel that your body, though wounded, still has strength left in it. The Stoic does not deny emotion. He respects it. He allows it. But he does not let it command the helm. And when success comes, and it will, when people begin to praise you, when the results begin to show, when admiration flows in and applause grows louder, your morning routine becomes more essential than ever. Because the Stoic knows that success is its own kind of test. Fame can corrupt the ego faster than failure breaks the spirit. So in the morning, while others sleep on their achievements, you wake to confront your pride. You remind yourself, you are still a student. You are still flawed. You are still mortal. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the world, and yet every morning he reminded himself that he was just a man. That today could be his last. That virtue, not victory, was the measure of a life well lived. So you stay humble. You stay focused. You stay grateful. The cold water still startles your skin. The page is still blank each morning. The silence still confronts you with your truth. And you are thankful for it. Because you now understand, the Stoic morning is not a phase. It is not a method. It is not a trend. It is a way of life. A way of seeing the world with clarity. A way of standing tall in both joy and suffering. A way of remembering what truly matters when everything else tries to make you forget. You could lose your wealth, your home, your reputation. But this discipline, this path, this identity, it cannot be taken from you, because it lives within, because you built it. So the days go on, the years turn, the seasons shift, but each morning you return to the silence, to the breath, to the page, to the unshakable center within you, to the life you've chosen again and again, with discipline, with courage, with grace. And as the world continues its noise, its rage, its chaos, you walk through it all like a mountain, unmoved, unshaken, alive.